There it is. We got the first official look at the best fight in boxing. Errol Spence Jr. versus Terence Crawford. The fight of the era, the generation right now. The after Floyd Mayweather era in boxing. The best fight in boxing for undisputed at welterweight at 147. For potentially number one pound for pound fighter in the entire world. Errol Spence Jr. versus Terence Crawford, coming to us live July 29th in Las Vegas, Nevada. We got it. It's official. The press conferences have taken place. The face-offs have happened. We're here. We are here after years and years of wanting this fight. We are here. I'm going to talk about the press conferences. There were some jabs back and forth. There were some talks. I'm going to talk a little about the fight. Obviously, we'll go way more in depth as it counts down. I think we're 44 days away, so we got plenty of time to talk about the fight. I'll be at the fight, so subscribe to the Never Drop podcast for all the access. I'm talking weigh-ins, fight night, walkouts, everything. Make sure you subscribe to the Never Drop podcast and follow me, as I'll have podcasts dropping of not only Spence Crawford coming up, but Boots Ennis for Joe Ortiz, Stephen Fulton, all fighting. We'll talk about those fights. But let's get back to the big fight, man. There's no fight bigger than this. Errol Spence Jr. versus Terence Bud Crawford. I've said it numerous times. This is the fight that's the biggest in boxing. All right, so what happened at the press conferences, right? That's what you're here to listen to, here to see. Well, it's fair to say both fighters have respect for each other. There wasn't any crazy trash talk like, say, Plant and Benavidez earlier this year. Two guys that absolutely, before the fight, couldn't stand each other. Years-long beef, and they're throwing haymakers at each other the entire time. But for this fight, you can see the respect each fighter has for each other. But that doesn't stop them from throwing jabs, right? They had press conferences in Los Angeles and New York, back-to-back days, kind of, get some buzz, drum up some buzz. It seems one thing Spence has talked a lot about is Crawford's resume. From when he came up from 140 to 147, Spence has continued to harp on, hey, you haven't fought anyone at 147, and even question some of his past fights at other divisions who he fought. They have a couple common opponents, Kell Brook being one of them, Sean Porter being another one of them. And that's what Terence Crawford comes back with. Hey, I made easier work of the common guys we fought. Take Sean Porter, for instance. Spence went 12 rounds with him in a modern-day classic. Personally, that's the best fight I've ever watched, obviously. I've been watching boxing for a little bit, but I haven't seen, hundreds and hundreds of fights. But personally, that's one of the best fights I've ever watched. Just two warriors going back and forth, just constant action. Right, that fight was incredible. But it took Spence to get the decision in a late knockdown, which technically, in some eyes, was a weak knockdown since Porter only had the tip of his glove hit the canvas, obviously ruled a knockdown. But that was really the decisive point in the fight. While Crawford knocked Porter out, I believe, in the 8th or 9th round when he fought him. Granted, that was Porter's last fight before retirement. Porter's come out and said, hey, I didn't do what my father wanted me to. Earl's said the same thing, Sean was saying he didn't do what his dad, aka his trainer, was telling him to do, all these different things, along with, personally, I believe Sean Porter was up in that fight. So as much as Terence Crawford says he made easier work, I think Sean Porter was up in that fight. That's here nor there. We talked about their merch battle in the last fight when I made the video about the announcement. They keep going back to these taglines. Spence has been the big fish for a long time. Crawford's saying it's going to be a fish fry. Spence is coming back at him. We're going to have a crawfish boil. Spence is throwing a new one. We're smoking on Bud. A little play on it.
I like to go fishing. Everybody know those are my hobbies.
Man, that's cat. He's not catching me with no fishing pole,
hey, listen.
man. I'm the biggest. You
Listen.
can't catch me with no fishing pole.
Listen.
What it look like catching Moby Dick with a fucking fishing pole, man? Get out of here, bro.
They all been caught before.
Man, not with no fishing pole.
Every last one of them. And
Not
July
with no fishing
29th,
pole.
he gonna be caught too. I got a big enough hook for him, and I'm already reeling them in. July 29th,
your ass better have a submarine.
I'm gonna put him on the bank. I'm gonna gut him, and I'm gonna fillet him.
Man, you
like
better
I
have
said.
a submarine.
All right. We gonna catch him. Well, matter of fact, we already caught him. We just reeling them in right now. And July 29th, that's when we're gonna get him to the bank. We'll probably weigh him, put him on a scale.
You ain't got a scale big.
Chop his head off. Cut him from, the gut, the little butt up. Take the little vice grips, pull the skin off, Take the little knife.
It don't even sound good.
Let me ask you this, bud. Let me ask you
y'all
this,
like
bud.
fish? How many of y'all like fish? I bet your pops like fish too. You like fish, don't you, pops? Come on, you can say you like fish. You know what I mean? Your son, the big fish, so he love fish too. You know, so we gon' you know what I mean? We gon' give his pops a piece of fish too.
We Jamaican, man. We smoke bud.
Hey.
You already know how that go. It's legal in Vegas too, so we gonna smoke your ass up.
Hey, y'all do.
It's legal in Vegas too, so we gonna smoke. We gonna roll you up and smoke you up too, man. Y'all get that new bud strand, man.
Hey, but you know the crazy part about it is, you know what I mean? Y'all do smoke bud in Jamaica. I forgot. But this ain't
new bud strand.
This ain't no bud. This ain't no kind bud. You feel me? This ain't the bud that you just can buy on the streets. This that marinated bud that you hit one puff, you might be seeing stars like how high. Just know.
Both fighters have mutual respect for each other, but they're throwing jabs at each other. They're not dwelling on the past like a lot of reporters have been trying to get them to get to. A lot of them are, why didn't this fight happen? Whose fault is it? They're both like, hey, we're here now. We're here. It doesn't matter what happened in the past. We're here. We're about to fight. Don't worry about that. Along with both of them knowing that this will be a legacy fight. That's kind of been a big theme throughout these two press conferences. Both of them saying this is a legacy fight. I'm fighting another great fighter, but I got to do this to be one of the best ever. Be one of the best welterweights. Be the best in this generation. They both know how much is on the line for this fight. Errol's gone back and he said this for not years, but through this whole buildup, this would be an old school fight. This isn't something that new school, like, tippy tap around. This is going to be a war. War has been talked about many times in this. It's going to be a war, this fight. And truthfully, the way they're talking, man, it seems like from the very get-go, this is going to be a fight where from the first round, it's on. There's no trying to outbox you. It's, I have that dog and I'm going to go get you. And I'm going to prove to the world why I'm number one in the world. That's the fight, it seems like, at this point. And man, that's going to be amazing. Just thinking about this fight, man. This fight's going to be one of them ones. I'm trying to tell y'all, these press conferences were cool. We saw Brian McIntyre, a.k.a. Bomac, Terence Crawford's trainer, get a little emotional in LA, the first press conference, talking about, man, this is a big fight. This is what Crawford wants. This is what Bomac wants. This is what they want for boxing. This is where they want to be. You know, he realizes how big this is, how much is needed to get this win, how much it'll do for their careers. Derek James talks about it. You can't put into perspective how big this fight is. It's for best at welterweight. Who's the best of this generation? Who's the best in the world? This fight means everything to these fighters, and truly, I think this press conference only built the hype up even more. If you're a boxing fan, you don't have to get hyped for this fight. You know what's up. We're trying to see if the casuals, I don't like saying casuals, the people that aren't invested as much into boxing, if they're going to be invested in this fight. And I promise you, if you don't watch too many boxing fights, watch this one. Pay for this one. Go out to Vegas. Take you a little trip. I'm doing it. It's going to be a good time. While many fans have been trying to find a way to hate this fight, they're talking about, hey man, these guys are friends. I don't want to watch a fight where these guys are friends. No, they're not. They got respect for one another. You go back and watch the press conferences. They have respect for one another. But man, they're trying to kill each other in that ring. And that's what we can expect July 29th. A war. I talked about it earlier. That's what Errol said. That's what Terence said. That's what everyone said. It's going to be a war. Expect that in the ring. Man, oh man, this is going to be a good fight. I can't wait for this fight. If you want all the in-depth analysis, breakdown of everything in this fight, hey man, make sure you subscribe to the Never Drop podcast. I appreciate you if you got through this far. Make sure you subscribe. A lot of you I've seen aren't subscribed watching the videos. Press subscribe. I'm talking all boxing, man, not just Spence Crawford. We got, like I said, Boots Ennis fighting soon. Virgil Ortiz versus Stanionis fighting soon. Stephen Fulton fighting soon. Man, boxing's on fire. Make sure you subscribe to the Never Drop podcast. Press the like on this button. I'd appreciate it. Comment. Let me know what you're thinking about this fight. What's your thoughts about the press conferences? Let me know. Along with just talking boxing. I appreciate it, man. Make sure you subscribe to the Never Drop podcast on YouTube and follow it on Spotify or Apple Podcast or Amazon Podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts. I got some podcasts coming to you soon. With all that being said, I appreciate you. We're going to talk more. I'm out. Peace.